I was 7 months pregnant, lugging grocery bags up 3 flights of stairs while my husband lounged on the sofa, lost in his video games. After setting the bags down, drenched in sweat and gasping for air, he glanced over and sneered. "You're becoming hard to look at. You better shed that weight quick after the baby, or I'll find someone who actually cares about their appearance." His buddies chuckled through his headset. I forced a smile. 3 days later, he was blowing up my phone, pleading with me, "Ladies, I'm holed up in a hotel room right now, 7 months pregnant. Try and make sense of what happened today. Am I overreacting? Am I in shock? I don't know, but I need to vent somewhere. This is a long story. Sorry." For some background, Alan and I have been together 5 years, married for 3. We met at a community theater. I was handling costumes, and he was a charming lead. He was this magnetic musician, full of passion, and I fell hard for him. Things changed when I got pregnant. It wasn't planned, but after the initial surprise, I was thrilled. Alan? Not so much. He said the right things, but his actions told a different story. More time gaming with friends, less helping at home. I convinced myself he was just adjusting to the big change in his own way. Plus, this pregnancy has been brutal. 3 months of constant nausea, then anemia, and now my back feels like it's being wrung out most days. Which brings me to today. I just finished work and swung by Trader Joe's on my way home. We live in a 3rd-floor walk-up, no elevator, and my car was packed with groceries. When I got home, Alan was sprawled on the couch, glued to Call of Duty, surrounded by empty energy drink cans. I asked if he'd help carry the groceries up. He brushed me off, saying he was in the middle of something critical. So, there I was, 7 months pregnant, trudging up and down 3 flights with heavy bags. By the 6th trip, I was soaked in sweat, my back screaming, my ankles swelling in my shoes. When I finally dropped the last bags and sank into a kitchen chair, struggling to breathe, Alan glanced over and said, "I'm not kidding. You're starting to look gross. You better drop that weight fast after the baby, or I'll find someone who takes care of themselves." I couldn't process his words. Then I heard his friends laughing through his headset. He'd meant for them to hear. Instead of breaking down, as he probably expected, I walked over, smiled, kissed his forehead, and said I was going to shower. The confusion on his face might have been funny if I wasn't crumbling inside. In the shower, with the water muffling everything, I let myself cry. But it wasn't just sadness. There was anger, clarity. Suddenly, I saw every red flag I'd ignored for 5 years in sharp focus. This wasn't new. It was just the most blatant yet. This was who he was. And I was about to bring a child into this. A child who'd grow up thinking this is what love looks like, either dishing out this treatment or accepting it. No way. Absolutely not. I got out, slipped into my coziest maternity dress, and told Alan I needed air and time to think. He barely glanced up from his game. I grabbed my hospital go bag, already packed because I'm a planner, my laptop, my important papers, and left. Now I'm in a hotel 20 minutes away. I called my sister, who lives an hour from here, and she's coming tomorrow to help me sort things out. Alan's called twice and texted once, about where the leftovers are in the fridge, not where I am. I know I need to leave him. I need to protect myself and my baby, but I'm terrified. I'm 7 months pregnant. Our lease is in both our names, and our finances are somewhat tangled, though I've always kept my paychecks in a separate account. Thank goodness. I was counting on a partner for childcare and expenses, but I keep replaying that moment in the kitchen. His casual cruelty, the way he said it like he was noting the weather, the fact that he wanted his friends to hear. I should have left years ago. I deserve better. My baby deserves better. I'm not sure what's next, but I'm not going back to that apartment tonight. Maybe never. Edit. Many are asking if this was the first time he said something like this. No. There have been jabs about my changing body during pregnancy, comments about how I used to be so attractive, questions about my plan to get back in shape, always framed as concern or laced with enough humor that I could convince myself he didn't mean it. Today, the mask was off. Edit 2. To those saying I should have communicated better or tried to fix things, we had countless talks about sharing responsibilities, especially since I got pregnant. His promises to step up last maybe 48 hours. I've suggested couples therapy 3 times. He's always too busy. Today wasn't a one-off. It was the day I finally saw clearly. Update. It's 2 a.m. and I can't sleep. Alan finally noticed I'm not coming home and has been blowing up my phone. First confused, where are you? Then annoyed. You're being dramatic, then guilt-tripping. It was just a joke. You know how the guys are. His latest text was a rant about me wasting our money on a hotel. Our money, 90% of which comes from my paycheck, while he pours us into his music career and gaming rig. I've decided to meet a lawyer before returning to the apartment. I've muted his notifications and am trying to rest for my baby's sake. My sister will be here in the morning. The baby's kicking like mad right now. I placed my hand on my belly and whispered, I've got you. We'll be okay. For the first time today, I believe it. First update. It's been 4 weeks since my last post, and things have gotten intense. Thank you to everyone who offered support. Your words kept me going when I felt like giving up. After that night when Alan called me disgusting for pregnancy weight gain, my sister, and came, and we mapped out my options, we decided I'd return to the apartment temporarily to get my affairs in order. Many of you warned me not to tip Alan off about my plans to leave until I was ready, and you were so right. When I went back, Alan acted like nothing happened. When I brought up his comment, he rolled his eyes and said I was too sensitive, that it was just a joke, and then he tried to flip the script on me, claiming, I've been so out of sorts lately, and I feel like I'm treading on thin ice around you. He had the audacity to say, do you have any idea how tough this pregnancy has been for me? For him, I nearly snapped, but I held on to my strategy. So I inhaled deeply, said sorry for getting upset, and blamed on exhaustion and hormones. His face lit up with relief instantly. He thought he'd gotten away with it, that I was back under control, and life could just resume as usual. What he didn't know was that I'd already started talking to a divorce lawyer. The last month has been one of the hardest I've ever faced. I've been living a double life, outwardly acting like the remorseful, pregnant wife while secretly laying the groundwork to walk away. Here's what I've done so far. I've been meticulously documenting Alan's behavior in a journal, noting dates, times, and his exact words. I've also discreetly recorded some of our conversations on my phone when he's been especially cruel. My attorney says this could strengthen my case in the divorce. Thankfully, I've always had my paycheck deposited into my own account. But now, I've switched my direct deposit to a completely new account at a different bank. I've been quietly transferring small amounts from our shared account to my private one. Careful not to raise any red flags, just reclaiming what I've put in over the years. While digging through our financial records, I stumbled across something that turned my stomach. Alan had opened a credit card in my name without my knowledge. He's run up over $5,000 in charges on things like his gaming PC and other purchases. I've reported the fraud to the credit card company and submitted proof that I didn't authorize it. I've also gathered all my critical documents, birth certificate, marriage license, bank statements, tax returns, and store them in a safe place outside our apartment. My sister helped me secure a modest 2-bedroom apartment on the ground floor with no stairs and unit laundry and a secure building. I signed the lease last week. It's not luxurious, but it's clean, safe, and mine. I've been quietly packing my most essential belongings, moving them to my sister's place bit by bit whenever Alan's not around. Nothing too noticeable, just the items that mean the most to me. I also got a burner phone that Alan doesn't know about. My regular phone stays with me to keep up appearances, but the backup is untraceable. Living this double life while 8 months pregnant has been draining. My ankles are constantly swollen. My back aches nonstop, and the baby feels like she's doing acrobatics on my bladder and ribs at the same time. But every step I take toward freedom fuels my resolve. The toughest part has been acting like everything's fine. Cooking his dinners, chuckling at his jokes, listening to him gripe about his bandmates, watching him play video games for hours while I handle everything else. Sleeping next to him makes my skin crawl now that I've stopped pretending he's someone he's not. His behavior has gotten worse, too, now that he thinks I've accepted his nonsense. The mask is slipping further. Last week, he invited his gaming buddies over for a guys' night without warning me until they showed up at the door. I just gotten home from work and was lying down because my back was in spasms. He came into the bedroom and told me to make myself useful and order pizzas for them. When I mentioned I was in pain, he let out a dramatic sigh and said, "Pregnancy isn't an illness. Women have been managing it forever." He even claimed his mom worked right up until the day before she gave birth to him. A total lie. I casually checked with his mom during a phone call, and she told me she was on bed rest for the last month due to complications. His friends were right there in the living room, overhearing everything. I noticed one of them looked uneasy, but no one spoke up. I ended up ordering the pizzas from bed and paid for them with my own money. When the delivery arrived, Alan shouted for me to answer the door because they were in the middle of a game. I had to drag myself up, shuffle past them in my pajamas, pay the delivery guy, and set out plates and napkins while they pretended I didn't exist. After they finally left at 2 a.m., leaving behind a mess of empty beer cans and pizza boxes, Alan came to bed and tried to initiate sex. When I said I was too tired, he scoffed. "Come on, it's not like you have to do anything. Just lie there like always." I slipped into the bathroom and cried quietly, reminding myself I only had to endure this a little longer. My plan is to move out next weekend when Alan visits his parents for his dad's birthday. He'll be gone overnight, giving me a full 24 hours to pull this off with help from my sister, 2 close friends, and, surprisingly, Alan's younger brother, Rory, who saw one of Alan's outbursts last month and reached out to offer support. My lawyer has the divorce papers ready. I'll freeze our joint account, take what's rightfully mine, leave the papers with detailed letter explaining exactly why I'm leaving, and be gone before he gets back. I won't lie, I'm scared. I wake up at night with my heart pounding, wondering if I can really pull this off. But then I feel my daughter kick, and I know I have to do this. I won't raise her in a home where her mother is disrespected every day. I won't let her grow up thinking this is what love looks like. In a strange way, I'm thankful for that awful moment with the groceries. If his true colors hadn't fully shown, I might have kept excusing his behavior for years. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd seen the real Alan from the start, not the charming theater guy who won me over. The warning signs were always there. I just didn't want to see them because I was so caught up in love. My doctor says my blood pressure is too high, probably from stress, and I need to take it easy this last month. The irony isn't lost on me that planning to leave Alan is stressful now, but essential for my long-term health and happiness. To those who suggested therapy in my last post, I've started virtual sessions with therapists who specializes in relationship trauma and pregnancy. It's been incredibly validating to hear that I'm not overreacting or just hormonal. This is real emotional abuse, and I deserve better. I'll post an update after everything unfolds next weekend. Wish me luck, bestie, because I'm going to need it. Edit. Just got a notification that this post is gaining traction while I'm at my doctor's appointment. I'll try to answer questions when I get home. Thank you all for the support. Update. Same day. Just had to add that Alan just texted me asking what's for dinner tonight. I'm literally at a doctor's appointment for our baby, which he opted not to attend because he had a crucial band practice, aka jamming in his friend's garage with beers for hours. Yet somehow, I'm still expected to figure out dinner. I've been choosing my battles to avoid suspicion, so I'll probably grab takeout on the way home. For more days until he leaves for his parents' place. For more days of keeping up the act that I've got this. The doctor shared that our little girl is growing just right, with a steady heartbeat. Alan didn't bother to ask, of course. She's already flipping around in there, like she senses we're on the cusp of a brighter future. While Alan was glued to his video games yesterday, big surprise, I quietly ordered the sweetest crib for my new apartment. It's arriving at Anne's place next week. I've never spent that much without second-guessing myself, but making a choice just for me and my daughter felt empowering. This morning, as I got ready for work, I caught my reflection in the mirror and actually smiled. Not because I looked amazing. Honestly, at 8 months pregnant, I'm wiped out, but because I saw a glimpse of myself again. That flicker in my eyes, gone for years, is starting to return. Last night, I practiced the words I'll write in my letter to Alan. Putting his actions into words felt so affirming. No more brushing things off or excusing him. Just the raw truth about who he is and why I'm walking away. I'm still nervous about going alone. Single motherhood wasn't part of my plan. But staying with Alan would mean sacrificing my self-worth and eventually my peace of mind. What kind of mom could I be then? For more days. Just 4 more days of living this double life. Then I'm free. Update. It's done. I'm out. I'm sitting in my new apartment, surrounded by boxes and a half-built crib, but I've never felt more at ease, even in the mess. Here's how it all unfolded. As planned, Alan left yesterday morning for his dad's birthday weekend at his parents' house, about 3 hours away. He was in a rare good mood, probably thrilled to dodge his pregnant wife for a couple of days. He gave me a quick kiss, told me not to do anything wild while he was gone, and said he'd be back Sunday night. The second his car rolled out, Operation Freedom kicked off. My sister and pulled up with her SUV 10 minutes later, followed by my friend Mia, who'd borrowed a small moving truck from her job. Alan's brother Rory arrived soon after, looking uneasy but resolute. We had just 32 hours to get me fully moved out. Standing in that apartment that morning felt unreal. 4 or 5 years, I'd lived there, slowly losing parts of myself while pretending everything was okay. We worked methodically, following a checklist I'd put together over the past few weeks. First, we packed my personal belongings and clothes. Things Alan wouldn't notice missing right away. Then, the baby items I'd bought on my own, followed by furniture that was undeniably mine from before we got together. Rory was incredible, handling all the heavy lifting despite my insistence that he didn't need to help me leave his brother. At one point, while carrying my dresser, he stopped and said, "Alan's my brother, but what he's doing to you isn't right. My mom taught us better than this." I nearly broke down right there in the hallway. The most gratifying moment was unplugging Alan's prized gaming PC, the one he'd sneakily bought using a credit card in my name. I carefully packed it into its original box, while Rory looked on, visibly conflicted. I told him he didn't have to help with that part, but he just shook his head, grabbed the box, and muttered something about Alan finally facing the music. By 7 p.m., most of my stuff was out. We ordered pizza. Seems to be my go-to lately. But this time, it was a victory meal, shared with people who genuinely care about me. We sat on the floor of my new place, eating straight from the box, laughing through our exhaustion and relief. This morning, we returned for the final push. I scrubbed the apartment clean, not for Alan's sake, but because I refused to give him any reason to badmouth me. I packed my last few things and set up what I was leaving behind. On the kitchen counter, I placed divorce papers, filed but not yet served, a folder with proof of his financial deceit, including records showing the gaming PC was bought fraudulently in my name, a USB drive with recordings of his verbal abuse, and a short note that read, "Find someone better from your couch." I already have. I left most of the furniture we'd bought together, but I took photos of everything in case he tries to claim I took what wasn't mine. I'm not here for petty games. I just want out with what's rightfully mine. The toughest part was managing it all at 8.5 months pregnant. My back was killing me by the end of day 1, and this morning my hands were so swollen I could barely hold anything. But adrenaline is powerful, and the thought of finally breaking free kept me pushing forward when I wanted to collapse. Once I was settled in my new place, I called Alan's phone. No answer as expected. I left a voicemail saying he didn't need to look for me at my sister's because I wasn't there and that he'd find everything he needed to know on the kitchen counter. I sent a text with the same message, blocked his number, and emailed his parents to explain that Alan and I were done and why. So he couldn't twist the story to make me the bad guy. Within an hour, my phone started buzzing with calls from unfamiliar numbers. Clearly, Alan used his friends' phones to reach me. I didn't pick up. Eventually, his mom called my sister, who she's always been close with, and my sister confirmed I was safe and that Alan had treated me horribly throughout my pregnancy. His mom broke down in tears and apologized for her son's behavior, which I didn't see coming but found strangely comforting. Rory's been keeping me in the loop, and according to him, Alan came home.